In today's video, I wanted to go over gentling a horse. I've got a Nokota here. He came a couple days ago. This is Flying Blue. He came from the pastures of North Dakota about 3 days ago, and he's just been in the round pen here, kind of settling in. And actually 2 mares came with too. And the 3 of these horses are going to France. So my job is to get them ready to be able to load and get on the plane and go. So Flying Blue here, he gets to live up to his name. He's one of the few horses who actually get to go on a plane and go for a flight to France. So anyways, the gentling process, it's, you know, most of us don't ever have to deal with this because we have horses that everything's okay. You know, we can go out, catch them and do things. But like Flying Blue here, you know, he's never had much interaction. Yeah, he had to go into a stock to get his blood drawn to come down here. And, you know, he's been loaded in a trailer, but it has been just where they run into the trailer. So my job is to get to where we can go up to him and touch him and rub him, and then get to the halter on and then be able to lead and then load in the trailer. So when he showed up the first day, putting him in the round pen here, it took about 2 hours for him to settle in, but he was thinking about jumping out in that time because he was like, hey, I want to get back to my girls over there that he rode down with. And so now he's really settling in. It's been about 3 days. So he's not thinking about going out, hopefully. And what I want you to think about in the gentling process is trust is really the #1 thing. Is how can I get him to start trusting me? And then the second big thing is getting them used of new things. He's already having to get used of a lot of new things. He came from North Dakota in the snow and cold down here to Texas, and you know, all this new stuff going on. So I'll have to take it along at a progression that he can handle. But those are the 2 main things that I'm going to keep in mind as I'm working with him, is how do I build trust, and how can I help him learn to accept new things. Because a huge part about a young horse, a green horse, and especially a horse that's never been exposed to much, is just getting him comfortable with lots of different and new things. So I start off, and I'm just hanging out here in the pen, and you know, the past few days I've been coming in, cleaning the poop and feeding them, and he actually came up and let Sarah was able to go up and rub on his nose a little bit. So he seems like he's a pretty confident fella, and I like that. So what I'm going to do is just kind of start off with hanging out here in the center. But then I've got a fishing pole. It's a crappie pole, and it's one that I can extend out and get some length to it. And so I want him to be able to handle, he has to learn to be able to handle touch and being touched. And so I'm going to just start coming into a space with this and see what he thinks. And then I'm going to get to where, you know, if he wants to smell it, I'm going to offer it to him. And then I'm going to, so there he's kind of playing with it, and that's all good. Yeah. And then can I bring it over and set it down on his back? And I'm going to press down on it. If you're using a fishing pole like this, is you want to press down on it so it doesn't feel like so much of like a bug on their back. And I'm just allowing him to wear that. So everything has changed now that something's touching him. And then when he can handle this, he can settle in with it. Like there, that's nice. So then I'll just take it off and and release him and say, oh, that was good. If you stop and you think about it, I'll take it away and release. And then I can come back, and he's not really sure if he wants to smell it. There, that's nice. And I can rub his nose if he'll let me. So the idea is to really, can I start touching him all over? But if he won't let me, I'm going to go right back to his back. The wither area is the place that they're going to be most tolerant of this. And I'm just going to let it touch him as he goes around. I'm not asking anything other than for him to get okay with this. And when he checks back in with me, then I'll release it. And if he starts trotting, I'm going to press down on the pole so it doesn't bounce. There, and that's nice. So I'll just rub down and draw away from him and get him to think back to me. Give him a moment. Hey, that's nice. Real nice, because he really wanted to check in with me. And just from observing him over the last few days, he doesn't really bother with me being close, or he'll actually come close to me. The thing that he doesn't like is if I were to reach out to want to touch him, he's like, no, I don't think so. But this is good here. So he's checking back. And now, can I start to stroke him a little bit? Can I rub it a little? And if that's too much, then I'll just go back to just setting it there. So we're getting him used to things, and in that process, as we slowly just ask a little bit more, a little bit more, and a little bit more. But that little bit more has to be at the speed that he can handle. If you go too fast, it'll overface him. He won't be able to handle it. And if you stay too long just on the same thing, they'll just start checking out on you, usually. So it's always kind of you're testing to see how much that they can handle without overdoing it. And I like this. He's actually coming off the rail there. Nice. Because he halted, he got relaxed and soft. And so I'll just release it. And that's his reward. You're going, oh, thank you. And then, can I come back in there? Yeah, and then I set it back down on there. Nice lick and chew. And then I'm just gonna start stroking him, rubbing him. And there's different ways that we can do this. I'm using a fishing pole here. Depends on what I feel like the horse needs. Other times I might just come out here with a soft rope and get to where I can start throwing the rope around him, just around in his space. And I may do that with the other mare, because one of the mares, she's pretty laid back, but one of them's real sensitive. And so sometimes you have to do more stimuli just to get them to go, ah, and then they go, oh, okay, that's not gonna hurt me, and then they relax down. So that's another way, and then you just get to where you can start throwing the rope all over and you start throwing it up on them, they get handling all that motion going on. But we're using the stick here. I like this. This is good. And then as he is able to handle it, then can I get a little closer? And then I'm just touching him in more places. Slowly taking it down his back. He wants to check it out. I can rub his nose. He's handling it nice, so then I just step a little closer to him. And I might be able to shorten up my stick here. And I'm still being able to get closer and closer. So if he can handle it, then I just keep going there. That kind of popped his bubble. So now I know this is the distance. So if he goes off, can I maintain this distance from him? Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you need to go back out to the full distance. But he's allowing me to stay this close while touching him. I'm always allowing him a place to go. Because if I start blocking him, he's just going to go over the rail. So I'm allowing him to move his feet if he needs to. And this is nice. So he stopped this time. Instead of totally pulling it away, I'm just totally stopping, going, oh, thank you. That's his reward, and then I'm going to start rubbing on him. So remember, everything's a progression. It's just little steps. And you have to be aware of how much you can progress. Hey, I like it. And I'm just like, thank you, buddy. And that's what my body language is saying. Here's a nice lick and chew. So I'm going to just step just a tiny bit closer and see if he can handle that. And that was good. And then I'm going to take another tiny step closer. And I can shorten my stick up a little bit. And these guys notice everything. So if you take too big of a step, go too quickly, or get too close to them too quick, you'll pop their bubble, and they'll let you know. And this is nice. He's letting me get a little closer and a little closer. So we're just building trust here. Can I prove to him that it's going to be okay, that nothing's going to happen to him? Now I'm at this distance here. Can he keep me here? If it begins to be too much for him, then I'm going to step away from him. If he can handle it, I'm going to stay there. So there he stopped, so I just stop and I'm like, thank you. And I like that for checking in. Then I'm going to go back to just rubbing him. Staying the same distance here. Nice, and see if I can get just a tiny bit closer. Now, where I stand in relationship to him will affect whether he goes forward, halts, or backs up. Because if I get too far in front, or if I want to slow him down, I can step forward a little bit and get up in front of him. But you have to remember that might put too much pressure on, so it's all a balancing act. If I stay right in the very center of him, that's kind of neutral. And that's where I want to be most of the time. Because if I get too far back, that tends to push him forward. And if I get too far up front, it's either going to turn him around or stop him. And I can use that to my advantage if your horse is paying attention. Or if my horse is paying attention to me, then I can, like there, I was able to step up a little bit and just get in his way a little. And this is nice because he's allowing me to get a little closer and a little closer. And then I'll just slide my hand up as I keep rubbing with the stick. And can I get to where I start touching him with my finger? The pole's touching him or the stick's touching him, but then see, he noticed as soon as my finger touched him, he's like, hey, that's different. I feel you. But can I pretty much keep the same distance from him as he goes? Nice lick and chew, softening, dropping the head. And just keep rubbing him as he's walking. So it's just lots and lots of this here, just getting him comfortable with me in his space. Yeah, nice. In this process, you can do it in a few hours or you can do it in a few days. You know, it really depends on you, how much you want to progress it in one sitting. But this is good. Here he's checking in. He's allowing me to stay with him. He's not really running off. Yeah, he's kind of walking off, but he's not escaping. That's what I like about him, is he seems real sensible. He's not really that bothered. So now I'll go back to just rubbing. Put my stick all the way in. So we're just building trust, showing them it's okay. Yeah. And if I stay right there with him, then no matter what he does, he can never get rid of me. So then he starts going, oh, okay, well, I'll start accepting this fella. And he had a nice lick and chew there. He kind of released. He actually looked outside of the round pen. So I'll just go back to rubbing them, and then slowly can I start bringing my hand a little closer and a little closer to them. In there, if he goes off, I just draw away from him. Like there he trotted off, so I'll draw away. Even if I have to pick the stick off of him, and I'm still making it like I'm on him. Now we haven't done as much in this eye here, so now I may have to start all over. We'll see. So that's something you always want to remember, is if you're working in one side for quite a while and all of a sudden they change, it's going to be different in that new eye. See here, he's like, okay, I'll relax back down again. Yeah, nice. And when he checks in, I have a posture of, oh, thank you. And you could even just draw back away from him. But I felt like he's okay with me, so I didn't really need to do that. I just kind of softened my intent. And just staying with them. See, and then he's going to go through, they start going through some different emotions a lot of times. They're like, I don't really want to have to think about this anymore. So then they go, okay, what's my other options? Can I jump out? Can I go underneath? Can I run off? Whatever it is. Because they kind of like, oh, I've had enough of this. I don't really want to have to think about this anymore. It's a little bit like when you're in math class and you're having to think of all the calculations, and you get to where your brain just goes, I don't want to have to deal with this anymore. Let me just leave. That's a little bit what happens with these guys. And it's just about staying with them and going, oh, it's okay. Because it's usually at those points where you make a breakthrough. If you can stay with it. Yeah. I'm just staying with them. Nice. And there I just picked up the stick and stayed with, even though I get farther away from them. Can I stay right in that center point? And change sides so I'm in a new eye. And then I might have to get farther away, so I just allow my stick to come out. Start rubbing them from this side. I'm just going to take advantage of this. He's like, oh, I've got to stop, so then can I get a little closer? Because if he was truly bothered, he wouldn't stop to poop. And I just kind of soften and go, oh, thank you. Back to rubbing. Nice release, lick and chew. Getting a little closer. And I just keep the rhythm going. And I just let my fingers start rubbing them with the stick. Yeah. Now I'm setting the stick in my hand as I'm rubbing, so it's... He's like, I don't know, that was a little bit too much. Draw away, and then I come back again. Yeah. And that's nice. So now can I stop rubbing with back and forth with the stick, but keep my hand going? And I'm using the back of my hand yet, because the back of my hand doesn't have as much energy. And then I can slowly, kind of creating a fist here rubbing. Now I can open my hand. And I'm looking for, is there any spots on him that he might go, oh, that feels good? That I might be able to scratch or rub. Some horses like it, some horses don't. So you kind of have to figure out what the horse you're working with likes. And that was nice because he's checking back in. He's going, this kind of feels good. And I'm just staying with them. Atta boy. Just making him feel secure here. So when I bring my hand forward, I pick it up a little bit so I don't ruffle all his hair. And then I'm just going to slowly start going up and down his body just a little bit more. And he noticed that I moved the stick. Don't get in a big hurry to touch in other areas. So now I just go back because he walked off, allowing me back in. But if he wouldn't allow me with the hand, then I'd go back with the stick. He's really handling this well. And I'm starting just to kind of rub on the other side of his mane a little bit. You notice that over there. He sees me over here, and he's feeling me over there and starting to see me over there a little bit. Yeah, good boy. And I'm just coming up his mane a little bit more. Nice. And just slowly going up a little bit more and a little bit more. Yeah, nice licking shoe there. So if he could drop his head, that would even be better yet. But this is good because he's kind of getting a little softness to his eye, almost a little sleepy look. And that's what we're looking for him to go, oh, you're just another horse here grooming me. Yeah, so I'm able to kind of stroke down the mane. This is nice. And I think I'm gonna just leave him right with that. This is a real nice change. He allowed me to get in there. He's trusting me. And then if you leave when it's really good like that, then tomorrow when I come back to him, he'll be like, oh, I remember that, and it should be much quicker. So we'll let him go for that today, and then we'll go grab one of the mares and play with them and see what we've got there. So we'll see you in the next one.